0 to 100 in 3 seconds. The spine acts as a kinetic spring. It is gravity-defying physics in motion. The tail acts as a gyroscope, the endgame. Dawn on the Serengeti, a landscape governed by the uncompromising laws of physics and the pursuit of pure velocity. Meet the Acinonyx jubatus, a biological masterpiece designed for one thing, the ultimate sprint. To understand the Acinonyx jubatus, we must look beyond the spots. We must look at the engineering. Every breath is a calculated intake, fueling a high-performance engine that operates at the very edge of mammal physiology. Even at rest, the Acinonyx jubatus is a coiled spring, ready to unleash 1,000 pounds of thrust. Its limbs are light, moved by high-tensile tendons that act like biological slingshots, maximizing power with minimal mass. These are its spikes, non-retractable claws that provide permanent traction, essential for the explosive launch. The Acinonyx jubatus begins its approach. It utilizes the terrain, a ghost in the golden grass. The target, a Thompson's gazelle, 100 meters of open ground stand between life and death. The dark lines beneath its eyes absorb the sun's glare, like a high-end camera lens coating, honing its focus. Camouflage is its first weapon, but speed is its final argument. The Acinonyx jubatus has just become the fastest thing on land. The spine acts as a kinetic spring, storing and releasing elastic energy to extend each stride to a staggering 7 meters. Its head remains locked on the target, stabilized by a complex inner ear system that functions like a cinematic gimbal. In full flight, the Acinonyx jubatus is airborne for half of its journey. It is gravity-defying physics in motion. The gazelle brakes. It uses agility to combat raw speed, forcing the predator into high-G maneuvers. The gap is closing. The physics of the pursuit are reaching a breaking point. A heart 3 times the size of a leopard's pumps oxygenated blood at a furious rate to sustain the anaerobic load. At 90 kilometers per hour, a single turn creates lateral forces that would flip any other animal. But the Acinonyx jubatus has a biological rudder, its tail. The tail acts as a gyroscope, shifting the center of mass to counteract the centripetal force of the turn. Oxygen intake is now at its peak. Every cell is burning through glucose in a desperate race against time. The grip is absolute. The keratin spikes lock into the earth like a gear and track system. The Duclure, a specialized thumb, strikes, a surgical intervention in the gazelle's momentum. The endgame. Velocity meets strategy. The distance is measured in milliseconds. Strike is successful. Momentum is the gazelle's undoing as it crashes into the dry earth. The hunt concludes with a precise, suffocating grip. The Acinonyx jubatus has won this round against entropy. But the victory comes at a thermal cost. Its core temperature has spiked to a lethal 41 degrees Celsius. The engine is overheating. It must rest, or it will die from the very heat its speed produced. In the Serengeti, a kill attracts more than just the victor. The Acinonyx jubatus is now at its most vulnerable. The scent of blood travels fast. Minutes are precious. It drags the prize into the shadows, a final exertion of a muscle-bound machine running on empty. The oversized respiratory system works overtime, flushing out carbon dioxide and bringing the temperature down. The scavengers are circling. The tax for being the fastest is the risk of being bullied by the strong. Constant vigilance. The Athenonyx ubatus is a master of speed, but a subordinate of power. Every spot is unique, a fractal pattern of evolution that hides it in the dappled light of the African brush. Threats emerge. The cheetah must consume as much as possible before the larger predators arrive to claim their unearned share. Its carnassial teeth act like biological scissors, shearing through protein at high speed. Grooming is more than hygiene. It is the cooling down of a fine-tuned instrument. Even in exhaustion, its senses are dialed to the frequency of the savanna. Default text, a vantage point, to see the night before it sees you. It vanishes into the shadows, a whisper of speed in a world of giants. The day ends. The African sun yields to the cold certainty of the coming night. The carcass is abandoned. The risks of staying now outweigh the benefits of the meal. The eyes of the Asgnonyx tubatus transition the tapetum lucidum, amplifying the faint light of the stars. The spring resets. Tomorrow, the physics of survival will demand another sprint. Rest is the only priority now. Recovery for the next high-speed chase. The biomechanical bullet sleeps, a masterpiece of evolution waiting for the sun to rise. The Serengeti remains an arena where speed is the only currency that matters. This is the Asgnonyx gubatus. Speed, physics, perfection. Join us next time for more wonders of the wild.